Welcome to Paw Prints on the Mountain, brought to you by the Humane Society of the White Mountains. I'm your host, Mike Bosley. Here in just a moment, we will get to meet a couple of our guests. We've got Debbie Torbett as well as Cash. But before we get to them, I'd like to get into a little section that I call Bosley's Pet Peeves. This, of course, is not the opinion of the board, the Humane Society. They may agree with me, but this is mainly all my opinion. So, let's face it, guys. It takes all kinds to make the world go round. Whether I'm talking about the idiot in traffic or the politicians, it just seems it takes a different kind of people everywhere. And the same is in the animal world. There's all kinds of different personalities with the dogs, with the cats, and whatnot. As we're coming into spring, summer's getting ready to kick off. There's a lot of things that can happen. Gunshots, thunder, fireworks. All dogs and cats can react differently to these sounds. The beauty of dogs is they are very good at telling us how much they love us. And my dog's really good at telling me how much he thinks he should enjoy the steak more than I. But he can't tell me what really scares him, or how he's hurting, or those kind of feelings. So we have to take it upon ourselves as owners to be extra aware of these kind of things. The first time a lightning storm comes in, first time of the season, stop. Make sure that how is your dog going to react? Is it going to go flying out a window? Is it going to go run into the bathroom? These are things that you need to be aware of to help your animal. The last thing we want to see is a dog get scared and end up hurting itself trying to make it through the screen door or hide in its favorite spot. So as we're coming into this time of the year, I just ask, really, please take that extra couple of moments and make sure that our friends are all taken care of, even when they can't tell us how they're feeling. They love us and they love being around us, and that's why we love them. So, thank you for joining me, and thank you for that quick little moment. As you see, I'm hanging out with Cash, and this is Cash. Hi, Cash. Now, Debbie, tell us a little bit. Hi. How are you? Good to see you. I guess I might as well introduce you. Oh, do I got the good stuff? I got the good stuff. So tell us a little bit about Cash.
So Cash came into us as a puppy, and she was adopted. And she lived with the same owner the entire time. That owner's health began to fail, and she could no longer care for her. So last July, she had to bring Cash back. So we've had Cash since July. She does not go on a walk without her ball. She has to have her ball with her every single walk she goes on. She prefers to be an only dog. We did get her to meet one other dog that she's friends with at the shelter, but they got into a little scuffle the other day over a ball. So they're on break for a little bit, just so they can have a little break, and then we can reconnect them. And they can be friends again.
There's some days I don't like my best friend. I really.
Yeah. So otherwise, she would prefer to be an only dog. She has a great personality, and she just celebrated her 9th birthday with us in January.
Okay.
So we had a little birthday card made and put on her kennel and everything like that for her. It was her day. It was her special day.
Right.
So we did that for her.
That's amazing that you guys actually just go that little bit of extra mile. I mean, you've got a gazillion things going on at the shelter, but you guys took that little extra time and made sure that she had a birthday card.
Yeah, and we like to make them all feel special. And, you know, if someone has their first birthday, you know, we'll make a big old to-do about it. We had a dog that had his first birthday with us not too long ago, and it was a big to-do. Same thing, we got him a birthday card and things. some of the staff will bring them a little something from lunch
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that
Did
when
you
it's
get
their
some
birthday.
treats?
So they get to be the special one that day.
Right
so,
on.
I mean, they're all special to us every day.
Right.
But when it's their birthday or something really happens, then we'll single them out and they get special treatment.
Well, I mean, coming from an animal that has been out on the cold or even had to leave its what thought was its forever home, I'm sure those little moments, even though they can't really tell you, I'm sure that really makes all the difference in the world.
Yep. You know, and on the way here, she does not particularly care to ride in the vehicle. So, you know, I just kind of drove one-handed. Don't pull me over on the way back. But, you know, I comforted her on the way here just to make her feel safe.
Right.
Because she didn't really care for it. But
And see, that was tying into what I was saying earlier, is it just takes a little bit of extra to make sure that they're okay.
exactly. You know, and that's what we do at the shelter is we have dogs come in that it's very loud and can be very stressful at the shelter. I mean, you have dogs barking. We now have a rooster, so he's crowing, and so it's a stressful situation. So, you know, as much time as it takes to get them comforted and back to it being in a kennel and things like that, or if
Right.
we'll take them somewhere else to be quiet. A lot of times, Dina usually takes the dog over into her office if they need that extra quiet time, because her office is away from all the noise. So they'll go over there and spend time with her.
So if someone happens to watch this and decide, so Cash, I'm sure she has some energy, but she's 9 years old. She's not a pup energy.
She does have energy. She loves playing in the exercise yard.
Does she?
But she also likes to relax and chill out too. So
Describe the process for being able to come and check out Cash, see if Cash needs to be part of my home, which, believe me, she doesn't, but someone else's home. I've got a full home, that's for sure. How is the process for adoptions? What do I need to bring? My APS utility bill and my social security card?
no, none of that. So
Firstborn? No, I'm kidding.
sometimes we do. We like to have all of our dogs meet the kids. So
Yes,
you would need
okay.
to bring your first, second, third, fourth, however many. So we would have you, first of all, if you want to see Cash in particular, we have an adoption room where we can bring her up into that area and you can spend time one-on-one with her
Wow, okay.
or whomever you see. But a lot of times the animal that you're coming to see is not actually the animal that you will go home with. So if you walk back and see the dogs or cats that are in the kennels, then, you know, I like to say that they speak to you.
Well, they pick you, don't they? They pick you.
So if you're there for one in particular, and you don't necessarily feel like that would be the right fit, then we invite you to come and see the rest of the dogs or cats that are back in our adoption area. And then if you fall in love with one, then we'll have you do an adoption application. We go over that. Each animal has different set of, we'll call them regulations that they would need. I mean, because some of them are fence jumpers and you may only have a 3-foot fence. Well, that's not going to work.
Right.
You know, so each dog they have different regulations that they would need to go home with. So if we have further questions and you wrote down on the application, then we'll ask you in more detail.
Okay.
And then depending on, sometimes the dogs that get put on our adoption line have not made it to the surgery clinic yet for a spay or neuter. So then they would need to wait until the following surgery day. And then they would be able to go home the following day.
Okay.
Because we like to keep them and make sure that everything goes okay
Right.
and there's not any problems. So following day after surgery, they would be able to go home. If they have been spayed or neutered, they'd go home that day.
And I assume that since she left the shelter as a pup, she was taken care of long ago.
Long ago, she's been spayed, microchip, up to date on her vaccinations, and we feed her 3 times a day, just because we're trying to get a little bit more weight put on her.
She does look a little skinny.
Yeah, and again with the stress, A lot of dogs
Of
do
course.
stress in different
Of course.
ways.
Right.
A lot of them lose weight. A lot of them, are panting continuously in their kennels. It's just they all show stress in different ways.
We all have stress, and yeah, I mean, that all makes sense, and that's got to be stressful for them. Like you said, all the barking and all the visitors.
Right.
And for somebody who was in a home with one other, maybe two other people, this is a huge change. So it's entirely understandable. So it's not, let's make sure that it's clear that the Humane Society is not malnourishing this dog
Right.
in any
Yeah.
way.
She gets fed 3 times a day.
She gets walked?
She gets walked
Obviously.
several times a day.
Right.
She has to take her ball with her.
Uh-huh.
With every person that walks her. So, I mean, and that goes for all of our dogs. If they need extra food, we give them that extra food. And, if they need extra walks, a lot of our dogs are housebroken, but they didn't come in housebroken. It's because we've been walking them 2 times a day since
So they
or
get
more
that.
with our volunteers, but the staff at least walks them all 2 times a day. Helping with laundry and
You
dishes.
can volunteer to play with puppies?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was going to be like my
And
lottery dream
also
job.
another way of volunteering, if you can just come on to the shelter, but you would like to play with puppies and things like this, we have foster opportunities as well. So if we have orphaned puppies or orphaned kittens, then people can foster and take them into their home, care for them. We provide everything that they would need. And then they would just take care of them until they're 8 weeks old, and then they would come back to the shelter.
Now,
So that's another way to volunteer as well.
that is a great way. If I wanted to just see if my kids were up and ready for a puppy, could I foster a puppy and kind of get a feel how my family will react to a dog? Or are we looking more for somebody that's actually wanting to put in the time and really help these puppies grow?
So if you're looking to adopt a puppy,
Right.
we ask you, you can come in and spend time, as much time as you want with us
So-
during the day.
Right.
But most of the time the thing is for orphans or nursing mothers, expecting mothers, a dog or a cat that's had surgery done and they
Okay.
need time to recover,
Right.
or just an animal that needs to get that time out of the shelter. Typically, puppies don't really care what's going on. They're just going with the flow. But if you want, you can spend 4 or 5 hours there. We don't mind.
Right.
But typically our foster program is for those types of situations.
Okay, so if you're thinking about fostering, make sure you've got the time to be with the animal, and of course you guys would do that in the process, but that's what the fostering program is more geared towards.
Correct.
Okay, so all right. Now speaking of adopting, we are going to get to talk about some adoption places, because you do adoptions elsewhere other than the shelter.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that in just a couple of moments. And welcome back to Paw Prints on the Mountain, brought to you by the Humane Society of the White Mountains. I'm your host, Mike Bosley, and joining us today is Debbie Torbett and, of course, cute little Cash right here. Make sure and swing by the shelter and look at all the adoptions they have. And they're coming, going, so I don't want to call them inventory, but there's always new and other coming and going.
Yes.
All right. The high volume front door there.
Always. Yes.
Now, we were saying before the break that yes, you do a lot of adoptions there at the shelter, but there's other places that the Humane Society is out and about.
Yes.
Tell us about some of those.
So we do adoptions at PetSense every Saturday.
Okay.
So we have volunteers go over there. Our cats are always there, but they take several dogs over just to see if we can get them adopted there. And then we do several adopt-a-thons throughout the year.
Adopt-a-thon. Is that where like the people are sitting with the phone bank and sitting at the table and taking your call, ready to give you a dog? No.
No. So Adopt-a-thon is where there's several organizations in one location.
Okay.
So there's an adopt-a-thon that's going to be happening on May 5th at PetSense. So it's on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
They usually do a fun, like, little taco eating contest.
Right.
Or
Sale
some
on chihuahuas,
sort of,
maybe?
Some
No, I'm
sort
kidding.
of fun little event that they do aside from the adopt-a-thon.
Okay.
So I know that there's several different organizations throughout the state that are going to be there.
Okay.
And usually the wolf sanctuary out of New Mexico comes as well. So that's pretty
They
cool.
adopt wolves or just show wolves?
They just show them. They
Oh.
don't adopt
I
them.
was about to say.
Those are
okay.
big animals. And then we do several adopt-a-thons in Phoenix metropolitan area.
Uh-huh. You've had quite a good success with those adopt-a-thons down there in Phoenix.
Yes. So there's two that we've done in March, and then there's one in the fall that we do as well.
Okay.
So the last two, one was in Scottsdale, one was in Fountain Hills.
Uh-huh.
So we would have a lot of adoptions at those areas because all the people are in the valley during those times.
Right.
Before they come up here. So.
Uh-huh.
And then we always have adoptable dogs at Happy Tails.
Of course.
So there's a lot of different.
That's the way that me and you met, really. Do you remember that? You handed me a dog and said, watch this dog. You had no idea who I was. You just knew I was a volunteer, and you just handed me a dog.
Yep,
and
you
said,
had a green shirt on.
I did.
There you go. So we take our dogs a lot of different places for adoptions. We try to get them out and about as much as we can, just so they're not sitting in their kennels every day.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So those are.
I think that's great to get them out there, and yeah, PetSense, way to go, PetSense. So, looking for some good Cinco de Mayo plans? Swing by PetSense and check out what we've got. Now, so you bring like 2 or 3 dogs to PetSense every Saturday.
Yes.
And then your cats are there. So, how many dogs, cats do these other organizations at the Adopt-a-thon do they bring to this thing? I mean. Is there just going to be a couple of more dogs? Is there going to be tons more dogs?
So typically, each organization plans on how many animals that they're. It depends on how many volunteers that they have on how many.
It all depends
animals
on
that they
volunteers.
can hold. Exactly.
Right.
So typically, we have quite a few volunteers that are helping out with these adopt-a-thons. So typically, we'll bring anywhere from 8 to 12.
Oh, wow.
Dogs, depending on how many volunteers we have, and also how many of those are puppies. Because if they're puppies from the same litter, then they would go into the same pen, and they can play with them. And then typically we have 1 or 2 volunteers that stay there with the puppies and watch them and make sure people are sanitizing in between and things like this. So I'm hoping for the Adopt-a-thon in May that we have a lot of volunteers, that way we can take a lot of dogs.
Okay.
And then we'll fill up all the cat kennels so we can get a lot of cats adopted as well.
So moral of the story is that our animals' adoptions really depend
on our volunteers. Yes.
Wow, I mean, you think volunteers are important, but you may not make that connection that you really are helping save lives just by being a volunteer.
Yes.
Now, there's a members meeting coming up in June or something. I'm a little lost on the details. Can you break it down? What is a members? What do we do at members meetings?
So members, the members, to become a member of the Humane Society, they would pay like a certain amount.
Right.
So whether it's 25, 50, 100, so on and so forth. So that gets them to become a member. And then we have a member's dues, which is due every year. So then in June, we have a meeting of the members.
Okay.
Where all of those people are invited to come out. We usually have hot dogs and things like this. We'll have adoptable animals there. And that's just, everybody discusses, kind of what's going on at the shelter and different things like this. And typically it's held at the doghouse. I personally thank all of our volunteers and all of our staff.
And I will second that for sure. Now, there is some other, would you like your other treat? I brought your other treat. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Oh, there it is. Oh, stretch. Now, the Doghouse Thrift Shop is pretty much what keeps Cash able to be safe and have birthday cards and all the other fun things. Well,
Yes, so-
not even fun. All the necessities of life come from the Doghouse Thrift Shop.
Yes. So Doghouse is our daily fundraiser, is
Uh-huh.
what we like to refer it as.
Makes sense.
So all the money that's spent at the doghouse goes directly back to taking care of our animals that we have at the shelter. So whether they need, extra medication, extra food, whatever the case may be, because of Doghouse, we're able to do that.
Now,
So-
as we all, I'm a business owner up here, we all know that come April, whenever it hits 100 degrees in the valley, the flood of people come on up. So you guys are going to open the doghouse 7 days a week?
Yes. So, and that's news to me. Just found that out today when I
Okay.
spoke with Stacy. So she told me that they're going to open 7 days a week.
Wow.
So Sundays they will be open from 10 to 3, and then Monday through Saturday they'll be open 10 to 5. And then on Sundays they'll be able to accept donations from 10 to 2:30.
10 to 2:30.
And
okay.
then Monday through Saturday they'll be able to accept them up until 4:30.
Okay, so when they open 10 to 4:30 there.
Yes.
Okay. Now, on the show, last time I spoke about how very important it really is to give those donations at the correct donation time. It does zero good for zero animals, so please, 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 when you do a donation to the Doghouse Thrift Shop, please make sure it's during those correct hours. That is so very vital. Now, let's see. What other things we've got going on here at the Humane Society coming up? We gearing up for Happy Tales already?
Yes. So they've been gearing up for that for a few months now.
Okay.
And it takes several months to get that put together.
Of course.
And several volunteers. And when I mean several, I mean to the tune of hundreds.
Yeah. There's a sea of
Yes.
green shirts.
So, and it takes a village, literally.
But there's
to
always
put it
room for
on.
more.
Yes,
That's what's
we can
amazing.
always use more volunteers in every aspect of the Humane Society, whether it's at the doghouse, the shelter, the Happy Tales, doing adoptions offsite. We can always use more volunteers.
Okay. So if you've got any free time coming up with the kids or whatever, just swing down. And if nothing else, fill out an application for the volunteer and get that process rolling.
Yes.
So when you do have the free time, you can just start right in. Now,
Yes.
there is a volunteer orientation. It's not like you just say, you're good, and then you throw them in the kennels.
Right. So every single volunteer that signs on, they have a volunteer orientation that they go through. So if they're wanting to volunteer at the shelter itself, they go through the shelter volunteer orientation.
Okay.
If they have doghouse on there as well, they would have to do both orientations.
Ah, I did not realize that. Okay.
Yes, so-
makes sense. They're two
right.
totally different fruits. I
Yes.
mean,
So you wouldn't go to a dog training orientation to go work at the thrift store. So,
I get that.
and Deborah, she's our volunteer
Coordinator.
and she's been doing our orientations and things like that. She's been doing a really great job. So when you turn in your volunteer application, we give that to Deborah, and then she gets in contact, whether through email or by phone, and schedules the next orientation for both places.
Okay. All right. Well, so let's see. Once again, in review, we've got Cash, who is up for finding her forever home. And now the adoption fee, it is ridiculously low, and it comes with microchipping. Real quick, break it down in 30 seconds how easy it is to adopt Cash.
So Cash, Her adoption fee, because she is a senior, is $50.
Okay.
That includes her spay, microchip, all the vaccinations she's had while she's been with us, free wellness check to the vet, and a 30-day trial period of pet insurance through the microchip company.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let's say a puppy. How easy is it to adopt a puppy?
So puppies are $75.
Okay.
Microchip, spay or neuter, wellness check, 30-day trial period of pet insurance,
Okay.
and vaccinations.
Okay. So it is very easy to have a new member of your family change a life. And as me and you, as pet owners, they change our lives too.
Absolutely.
They do. All right. Thank you for joining us for Paw Prints on the Mountain. Once again, as always, brought to you by the Humane Society of the White Mountains. If you've got spare time, go check out the kennels. Become a volunteer. Do something. If nothing else, please mark your calendars for the Happy Tales. It's coming up. Do you know the date off the top of your head?
August 24th this year.
I'm glad you did, because I would have been off a day. August 24th this year. Mark your calendars. It is going to be a blast. If you've never been before, please, please come out. If you have been before, I don't even need to tell you how much fun it is. You already know. We look forward to seeing you there, as well as next time right here for Paw Prints on the Mountain.